Welcome back. I know it's been a while I didn't film anything. Since the last time I filmed, I actually moved again, so it took me a while to get adjusted again and find honestly like a clean like wall behind me so I can film. It's been a lot. Before I stopped filming, I had a lot of like ideas of videos I wanted to do. The first one on the list was actually mental health في الجزائر and how people handle it. It was something I was very much looking forward to talk about, so here we are today. I would like to basically discuss العباد في الجزائر, how they handle mental health, most notably parents, friends, teachers, therapists, and most importantly, the people themselves who actually have those illnesses. I feel like a good place to start with is parents في الجزائر. Since, let's be real, they're the root of most of your mental illnesses anyway. I feel like parents في الجزائر, when their kids clearly have mental health issues and try to get help, they're very judgmental. Not every parent is, but a lot of parents are. They're like, oh my god, like تزيد عليها وماشي لازم تروح therapist. احترقي is the best way.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
I feel like parents في الجزائر don't really know how to handle these situations because they don't know better. Although like you're literally teaching them better, they just don't want to learn. Like that's their issue. I also feel like parents في الجزائر do not know how to be supportive of their kids' decisions of actually seeking help. They can be like very judgmental, and honestly it sucks because as someone who has issues where a lot of it and or some of it might be because of your parents, to see them on top of that like judging you and shaming you for it is like a very toxic cycle. And I feel like something that people don't really think about or talk about is when parents have like kids عندهم 6 ans, 7 ans, 8 ans that have mental health issues and they don't know how to handle it, because that's a lot worse. Because you see some parents, their kids clearly have autism or ADHD or something, and the parents, instead of just like taking their kids to maybe therapy or maybe educate themselves to learn how to talk to their kids, they're very judgmental and they shame them and they're like يا جارح يا كذا وكذا, and it's like, okay, how is this gonna help? You're literally like ruining their self-esteem and they're gonna grow up and have like all these issues. So it's like, what are you doing here? I feel like that's one of the worst things parents do, and they never learn, they never try to learn, and they remain on that toxic cycle. And it really sucks to see that. But also, I feel like it should be noted that some parents can learn with time, even though they tell you بكري احنا ما كانش عندنا mental health issues.
Sure, Jan.
And I'm like, really قدر ما عندكمش mental health issues بكري? Because from talking to you for 5 minutes, I can literally diagnose you with 5 things and I'm not even a therapist. What do you mean? Like, am I the only one? Like, don't you see like grown people and you're like, okay, you clearly have like this and this and this and this mental health illness. Like, am I the only one who does this? And I'm not saying you should go around like diagnosing people, but am I the only one who sees this when I talk to old people? It's not really like they don't have those mental health issues, it's just that they are undiagnosed, and worst of all, when they have those issues, everyone has to deal with the wrath of that shit except them. Because you're young and they're old, you have to deal with their toxic ways. It's a mess. Parents and old people في الجزائر dealing with mental health illnesses is a mess, honestly.
I love you so much. I would die for you. I don't need you to die. I want you to change this little thing that really hurts me a lot. Oh, I'm not gonna change. But if you need me to die, though, I got you.
The second thing is friends. Friends, I feel like could go one of 2 bad ways. One is where they're like, I don't want to deal with any of your shit. It's negative. I don't care. Fuck off. I feel like that's a horrible friend to have, honestly. The second friend is the one that's trying to help but is sadly not helping you, which is the friend that lets you complain to them. And where you complain to your friend about your illnesses is a good thing, because you're externalizing those thoughts and maybe it's helping you process them better. But at the same time, if you're doing this every day or too frequently, this is toxic. You're developing a toxic coping mechanism with your friend. Your friend is negatively impacted by your negativity every day. And you're just creating this toxic cycle between the two of you. Because what a good friend should do is very simple. They should listen to you when you're at your worst. But at the end of the day, tell you like, hey, you need to get help. You need to get professional help, or like try to get out of the cycle, because I am not going to be your babysitter. And anything other than that is not really helping. I'm sorry, but it's not really helping. If you keep complaining to them every day and they keep listening to your shit every day, it is not helping anyone.
Period! 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 Period!
A third type of person I want to talk about is teachers. Teachers في الجزائر, I don't know if they don't know or they don't care, I am not sure. Parce que, for example, like, رانا في la période تاع the pandemic, surtout 2020. 2020 was like really when the pandemic happened. Confinement was strict and it was very hard for people. And تلقى في الجزائر like teachers giving you like all this shit to do and it's like, no. I don't want to do any of this. Like, I am clearly struggling. I can't leave my house. Everyone is anxious. People are dying. And it's like, yes, sir, I am going to do your shitty homework, that machine learning. Like, go fuck yourself.
Should she suffer? All right, clap if you think she should suffer.
Teachers في الجزائر really do not give this importance to mental health. Alors que you know your students are struggling. And you can also see teachers like les enfants في البريمير في السؤال, like they insult the kids, like they call them حمار, ما تسواش وكذا وكذا, and it's like, yes, 35-year-old woman, insult the 6-year-old for not knowing this math equation. You should really do that. And it's just crazy to me, like, ورايا la pedagogy. And maybe things are better now, I don't know. When I was a kid, like, teachers were rude. Not to me, I was like the genius of the class, but like to other kids, like those dumb ones. I'm joking. But seriously, like teachers were kind of like really toxic to children. And it's like so weird. Like, what is happening? Like, aren't you supposed to be the one who like studied and like a lot of like knowledge when it comes to la pedagogy? Like, where did that go? Why are you like being rude to kids? Also, let's not talk about literal physical violence against kids. I feel like that's something we all forget. Like, did we all forget that the teachers used to like hit us and stuff? Like, بدك تستير الجناية. Like, are we pretending that was okay? ولا what happened there? Like, granted, like, it did not really affect me in the long haul of my life because I vaguely remember that. But like, why was that a thing? And is that still a thing? If you're 8 years old and you're watching me, first of all, why? Second of all, please comment down below if it's still a thing. Seriously though, I feel like teachers have a big role to play because some kids have like shitty parents and some teachers can really change their lives, can really help them a lot and help them go through things. Especially that some kids get bullied in school and teachers can interfere with that and can stop that bullying in a way. So I feel like they should really do their job when it comes to this because they always say التربية والتعليم صح تربية ثانية وبلا blah, and it's like, okay, then do your job here. ولا صح تربية, this is when it comes to slut shaming your students. Like, is that it? A fourth kind of person I want to talk about, and this one is personal. This one is very, very personal. It's therapists inside. I went to therapy. Granted, I went to free therapy, so I guess I should not have expected quality there. But still, you are a therapist. You are a licensed therapist. I expected the bare minimum. I went to a psychiatrist, got diagnosed with panic disorder. I have panic disorder. Before I even went to the psychiatrist, I knew I was gonna get diagnosed with panic disorder. It's a disorder that is very obvious. But that being said, you should always go to a psychiatrist and get properly diagnosed. It's very important to know what you actually have because a lot of these illnesses can be similar, so it's important to get the proper diagnosis for yourself. I was given the diagnosis and the psychiatrist was like, here's the medication. I do not blame the psychiatrist because they're psychiatrists, that's their job. They give you the diagnosis and they give you the medication. That is their job. She offered me therapy. She was like, here's the letter, you can go to free therapy with this. I went to that therapist. I had the worst experience of my life in that place. I went, Ditlashen, I was very nervous. I went the first time around, it was okay. It was fine. She told me you should take the medication. I told her I don't really want to. I told her I want to try therapy. As the fucking patient, it is within my right to say this. She was like, well, the medication would really help the process. And I'm like, girl, I don't want to. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, it's not a debate. Like, I don't want to do this. As I am the patient, I get to choose the treatment we go for. And it's not like we tried therapy for years and then she was like, yeah, it's not working, you should do the medication. It was the first time she met me and she kept insisting. I still like put my foot down. I was like, hey, I do not want this medication. I do not like it. As I read the side effects, I do not particularly want them. I would like to try to do therapy normal. And if we don't see results with this after a while, then sure. A week later, درت لاشين for like an hour باش قدرت ندخل. دخلت نهضر معها. The meeting was 5 minutes long. In those 5 minutes after waiting an hour, might I add, she told me like, yeah, take the medication or like don't come back. Basically, to be fair, she did not say don't come back. She said, okay, take the medication, come back after 2 weeks once like the effects start kicking in. And she was like, okay, you can leave now.
Okay, let me remain positive. This is me being positive.
Keep in mind, it was at a point in my life where I was on the verge of suicide. I was on the verge of killing myself. If people who actually knew me in real life knew that I was at a very, very low point in my life, and that kind of interaction was really fucking heartbreaking for me. And it really fucking bothers me that someone like that dares to call themselves a therapist and dares to pretend they're helping people. Fuck those people. I'm sorry, but fuck those people. And honestly, at the time, I was in such like a bad state of mind, it didn't bother me. At the time, I was like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter, fuck her. But like later on, when I started to pick myself back up, I was like, oh my god, this person is fucking horrible. And honestly, that's the truth. But I will say this, I feel like this is important to say. I do not regret going. Even though it was a very shitty experience, I do not regret going at all. Because at a very low point in my life, I picked myself up and I went to seek help. It was not good help, but that was not my fault. I picked myself up and I went to get help. And I am proud of myself for that. And if you're anyone who's hesitating if you want to go to therapy because maybe you heard bad stories, because trust me, I am not the only one who's had bad stories. Some people راحوا therapy and their therapist was like, well, you don't pray, maybe that's the reason. I swear to God, that has happened to people I know. So keep in mind, this is not the only bad story about a therapist. بصح, I know some people who've had great experiences with therapists. And keep in mind, a therapist, you have to like, مش اللي هو اللي تطيح فيه هذاك هو. Because it's so personal, you're not gonna match with every therapist. You might have to try once or twice or three times to find your perfect fit. Lastly, the most important part of mental health في الجزائر is how the people who have these issues handle these things. And I feel like the people who have these issues tend to handle them very, very poorly because they're very uneducated, they're very unaware of themselves. They're not everyone. I know some people who are aware of their issues, they're aware of their cycles, they're aware of their toxic habits, they're aware of their toxic coping mechanisms, and they change them. So كاين عباد who have like really serious issues, and instead of just going to get help, they talk about it every now and then. And I'm like, okay, why every time you're having like a breakdown, you're mentioning the same thing and then never going to therapy and like keep this cycle? I feel like people في الجزائر who have these issues, because of all these different parameters, parents, family members, friends, like because of all this judgment, they're so afraid of going to actually get help. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't fucking matter what people think. Fuck them if they think you're this or that. Fuck them, honestly. Go get help. At the end of the day, like, their judgment and you saying like this is not gonna do you any favors. Go get help. And also, on top of getting help, people should really try to change their cycles. I feel like we all know that joke that's like, well, maybe you should just stop being depressed. And it's like, oh shit, I wish I thought of that. Like, obviously. But I feel like people sometimes take it to the extreme of this. Sometimes people give you actual advice and you're like, no, that wouldn't change anything. Like when people tell you like, maybe you should try to work out and go out more and eat better and change your sleeping schedule and shit, you're like, well, that wouldn't help. Actually, it would. It would a lot. Because if you sleep at 5 a.m., woke up at 3 p.m., don't move out of your house at all, like, how are you supposed to feel? And I'm not saying this is going to solve all your issues, but what I am saying is that improving your life will improve your mental health. It's just how it works. And if every time you feel horrible and you don't want to do anything, you force yourself to get out of bed and just go out, like, even if you go out on your own, maybe you're a loser and you have no friends. How is that gonna help anyone? I don't know. Well, maybe yeah. Maybe you're a loser and you have no friends. Just go out for a walk on your own. They can be fun. Listen to good music. Listen to Rai. And like, تموسع في نص. Like, just do something that will help you. And don't think that like anything you can do will not help, because that is not true. most things will help because they are change from this bubble you're in. And any change from that, especially if you're at a very low point in your life, any change is good change. Believe me. So just go for it. I feel like all of us should keep in mind that I am not a therapist. I am not a licensed anything to give you any kind of professional advice. I am mostly speaking on what helped me and a lot of my own experiences because personally, trying to change my toxic ways and getting out of this cycle really, really improved my life. And I think you should try that too. You should try to get out more. You should try to talk to people. You should try to open up a little, but at the same time, don't let people just carry all of your issues instead of you. You should really try to find your balance. You should try to make YouTube videos. They help. I swear to God, they help. And also something else you should try to do. I don't know if it would help anyone. It helps me, but I don't know. And as a person, I am like a very, very optimistic person in life. I know it doesn't show online because I'm very negative online. But in life, I'm always laughing, I'm always joking, I'm always very optimistic. And something that helps me a lot is trying to find purpose in everything I do and in everything that happens to me. So in all my hardships, I always try to find like, okay, like yeah, this shitty thing happened, but at least like I got this good thing out of it, even though like it's small compared to like all the shit that happened, but at least it's something. You see what I mean? So when I and as a person like 4 years ago, I didn't have any mental health issues. I didn't have panic disorder. Like it started when I was 20. Before that, I didn't. So I know what it's like to be like a normal person versus like having a panic disorder. So the comparison is very obvious to me. It's easy to be like, oh, I wish I could go back to the way I was before. But I can't. Like having a panic disorder is kind of something that stays with you to an extent. And for the longest time, I used to be like, oh, why does it have to be me? And why do I have to live with this now? And this is horrible. But in a way, like, I told myself, and after going through all these struggles, I do have a lot of anxiety, but I am someone who is a lot more kind, a lot nicer, a lot more understanding of people's struggles, and a lot of more understanding of myself as a person. And honestly, in a way, I probably would never trade that for anything else because it is just my experience. And if I can help someone else in the way, like that would be great too. Like I feel like in a way, like in a weird way, that would help me. Helping people would also help me like find purpose in this. And if you struggle with anything or you go through any hard time, like try to see like what is the purpose of this? Like what is the good outcome that can come out of this horrible situation? And it really helps. It really, really helps. I feel like this video was meant to be scripted. It was scripted at first and then I just went into ramblings. Thank you if you watched it all the way. Alright, I will promise next time I will come back a lot sooner because now I am at my house, so I am not gonna be moving anytime soon. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye!